What is going on, everyone? We are 15 days away from Christmas. Thank you for joining me on another episode and another edition of Reporting Eligible. It is going to be me once again. I am solo for the night. Keep Berto in your thoughts and prayers. He is going through some personal things, but he will be back. Don't worry, he will be back. Lot to unravel today. A lot of drama going in the Falcons space. Ray McLeod makes headlines again. More cryptic messages, players liking the post, reposting that, and commenting. It's real odd, but we'll get to that. But we're going to recap real quick the Seattle Seahawks game. And a game I touched on last week that this is the type of game that the Falcons could potentially mess around and win. And at one point, it was 6-6. Like the defense was stopping Sam Darnold and Clint Kubiak. Uh, the offense was the offense, right? We generated some drives, and at the end of it, it was tied. It was like, oh my gosh, could we take down this NFC juggernaut? And then obviously we know what happened. Special teams did the special thing they do best and give up giant kickoff return. Rashid Shaheed, his breakout moment with the Seahawks. Everyone was questioning, why did you trade for Rashid Shaheed? He has done nothing for you and has not lived up to the value that you traded for. 100-yard kickoff return, longest play of the season. And then he had 3 receptions. How many receptions was it? It was actually 4 receptions for 67 yards, crucial plays on third downs. It was like Miss Lisa says, a tale of two halves. Like it was, I guess, a kind of wake up call. Like, oh yeah, the Falcons stink. Like we're not a very good football team. We're not a very good coached football team. And it did seem like the players gave up. There was some piss poor tackling on defense. Special teams once again, right? We talked about the kickoff return, same thing with punt return, and then getting blocked on a field goal. Nick Emanwari, a rookie, now everyone's like singing his praises. Best game of his pro career. And against who? Of all teams, it's always us. It always seems to be us. It was continuously frustrating. It made you think like this can't continue on, right? At the end of the season. Like no way you see like if you're Arthur Blank, um, no way you could think looking at this as Arthur Blank and say, I'm okay going into this year 3 because we are on another losing streak, much like we went on last year, right? We broke that losing streak, but we lost what 7 out of the last 8. Like, it's not good. And people bring up the stats, which I think, hey, Raheem's down, you want to kick him, go for it. That's your prerogative. But Raheem now holds the worst record ever as a Falcons head coach, percentage-wise. People say, hey, if they tell you who they are, believe them. And me, being the person that I am, I always want to give the benefit of the doubt to a person to show me that they've grown and gotten better. And Raheem just hasn't done that. We talked about it on previous shows. He hired 2 first-time play callers. Okay, maybe he believed in them. Well, he got those wrong. All right, he brought in his buddy Jeff Ulbrich, who, yes, we've seen promises. We've seen the signs that the defense has gotten better. We hit on all 4 of our defensive rookies, but then they get gashed. You get figured out, and there's no adjustments made. And then special teams. Marquise Williams was a part of the Arthur Smith regime. Why is he still here? We've had problems since last year with special teams, but he is still here. Let's see. The one thing Arthur Blank won't excuse is a head coach losing the locker room, and that nail has been hammered. Yes, Bones. We're going to get to that. A lot of drama today for the Falcons because I think Mark Zinno tweeted that the fact that unless it's a catastrophic downfall, these last 4 games, which kind of was the way for Arthur Smith, right? We were all like, oh, Arthur Smith's going to get a 4th year unless they have a catastrophic downfall. that 7-9 loss for the against the Panthers in Carolina, and then you get blown out in the last game of the season in New Orleans. Those type of things are on the horizon for the Falcons. Um, it doesn't look good. And yes, Miss Lisa, I agree. Marquise Williams should have been gone. And the fact that he was on record, Raheem was on record saying no coaching changes will be made, it is irrelevant. You think? Why is it irrelevant now, Raheem, when you should have done something long ago when that 30 to nothing loss happened in week 3? That should have been your wake-up call. Not firing Ike Hilliard, who apparently was the scapegoat. Again, I always try and look at it instead of a surface level, look more deep into it. And hey, maybe there was issues in that wide receiver room, or maybe something he was tasked to do wasn't getting fixed. As an employer, you got to fix your bad habits, blah, blah, blah. That's why you got to let go. Hey, you got to be consistent with your coaches. You did that to Ike Hilliard. Why aren't you doing that to Marquise Williams? And then you want to go and blame the players. Oh, yeah? You want to blame the players? Then why'd you bench your best special teams player in Kadero Hodge the week prior, who took offense to that? This is one of the most lopsided, like, turned upside down seasons that we've had in a long time. Someone said 07 was the worst. Yes, 07 is by far the worst season for the Falcons in recent history, right? But it's climbing up there because you had expectations up here. Like, you were really high. You were like, okay, we're gonna compete. We're gonna compete for the division. Division can be had. We can make a playoff spot. Like, we went all in, drafting all these rookies, traded our first round pick. And then you're 3-2. You just took down an AFC juggernaut, the Buffalo Bills. Like, that's how you bounce back from that 30 to nothing loss. And then it all just unravels. Like, how does that happen? And the Falcons right now, I think, are 1-5 in one-score games. So those one-score games go differently. Maybe we're viewing the season a little different, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like Raheem is doing enough to be consistent. And I don't want to hear the comparisons. I know one of the radio shows in Atlanta wanted to compare Kyle Shanahan's and Dan Campbell's first 2 years and how he has a better record than them. We're not comparing that. Why aren't we comparing that? It's because this roster was constructed to win now. Doesn't need depth. Doesn't need to still improve. Of course, this roster is not perfect by any means, but you have enough firepower to be able to do better than what you are right now. All right, well, let's get into the chat a little bit real quick. What's up, Mr. Terry? Welcome in. Bucs defense are ass on the Bucs are ass on defense and have been since 22. Bulls makes rookie quarterbacks look like gods. We'll get into Thursday night football preview. We got that out on the horizon tomorrow. This season has already been catastrophic. What more does Blank need to see? We know Arthur Blank's agenda. He doesn't like to do it in season, right? He had Bobby Petrino quit on him. The only time I've ever seen him actually fire someone was Dan Quinn, and that was, I mean, yeah. Anyways, should have kept Ike, let go of Raheem. Probably wouldn't have happened. Never understood why you fire position coaches in the middle of the season. Yeah, I mean, never understood why Raheem kept some of the guys that were on Arthur Smith's staff. I get the mindset of like, okay, I see what they did well. I want to keep that same continuity for the players. But my guy, you're the new leader. You're the guy in charge. You need to put this team and you need to form it the way you want, not continually bring guys from the previous regime. What if Dwayne Ledford was actually let go when Arthur Smith was let go? What would our offensive line look? What would the run game look like? Because he is the run game coordinator. TJ Yates should have been gone. What does the pass game look like, right? Our pass game coordinator from last year is at Indiana. He's having a hell of a season. He's in the college football playoff. So many different things could have happened, right? But Raheem chose to keep some of these guys from that losing regime. What's going on, Bro Talk? If we keep Raheem, which offensive coordinator you think can help us? We need to get a veteran, much like he did with Ulbrich. You have to get a guy that has success and has proven that he can run a well established offense. Brian Dable is a name to keep an eye on. I think he's going to be a hot name for a head coaching position again. But if he doesn't get that, he'll probably go back to calling the plays. Now, if Joe Brady gets promoted and he gets a head coach job, it would not surprise me if he returns to Buffalo to be an OC there. I had mentioned Kevin Stefanski, but it looks like Stefanski isn't going anywhere in Cleveland. Doug Peterson is a name that's brought up. Mike McCarthy, but Mike McCarthy probably wants a head coaching job more than anything. So I don't expect that. I mean, you might have to swing at a young mind. And the name I brought up was Clay Kubiak, Clint's brother, um, coming from the Kubiak family, right? So hopefully he's as good as his brother. We don't know. Clint was given an opportunity in New Orleans when he first became the play caller, and we saw what he did in those first couple games, and now it's translating in Seattle. They have a top 5 offense there, so it'll be interesting to see if Raheem is retained. Which right now, I said last week it was looking about like 80% he's retained. Now I'm on the fence of like 50-50. I really don't know which way Arthur Blank is going to go. I think this Thursday night football game kind of will let you know a little bit more. Well, I say that because I do think this game is going to be close. I understand keeping coaches that you think are good from previous regime, but these people are clearly not good, right? Right. So that begs the question: like, were you just lazy and didn't want to do your work? Are you saying Clay over Clint? No, I'm not saying that. Hey, relax, relax. I'm saying he could be, or he could be worse. You don't know because you're bringing in a guy that doesn't have the play calling experience. Yes, he's the OC in San Francisco. Yes, he is under Kyle Shanahan, but Shanahan is the one still calling the plays. When you have a guy that hasn't had that sheet, hasn't had to come up with the script and lead a group of men to put together that game plan, it becomes different. You have more responsibility at that point. What you got? I'm at 20%. He's retained. It's dude. It's bleak. It's bleak for our Falcons because it it just becomes like this. You just shake your head at everything that's going on. Like we expected the blowout that we got delivered last Sunday. We didn't expect a 6-6 halftime. We expected a blowout from the get go. And I feel for the players, right? Jake Matthews is the only player that has experienced a winning season in this franchise. Guys that have been drafted here since then, since 2017, they have no idea what it is to win in the NFL, what it is to go to the playoffs, right? Chris Lindstrom, Caleb McGarry, never experienced it. Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, who else? Matthew Bergeron, you name it, right? Who else? I think Caden Ellis has experienced it when he was in New Orleans. Divine Diablo hasn't experienced it because he was in Las Vegas when he threw his rookie contract. So it'll be interesting to see. This coaching class sucks. I'd almost say you're better off keeping him and finding a new special teams coach and an OC. Yeah, that's the main reason I think Raheem would possibly be retained is because this is a weaker coaching cycle. There's not a lot of hot names. The hot name is Clint Kubiak, and honestly, he could stay in Seattle because he doesn't like the destinations, or I think he goes to New York and takes over the Giants. Like they need Jackson Dart. Seems like he can be the guy. You have Cam Scatabo. You have a great defense. Like you have core pieces there. Malik Neighbors is going to come back. You draft another receiver like Jordan Tyson. Um, things can like flip like that. We saw what Ben Johnson did in year 1 with the Chicago Bears. Hello, Miss Johnson. Welcome in. Thank you so much for being here. Um, you know, one name that I'm looking at is Jesse Minter from the Chargers. That'd be a name I'd be intrigued by because he's worked under Harbaugh. He sees how to put together a team, right? He sees the involvement with the trenches, getting that franchise quarterback, right? We aren't going to have our franchise quarterback in Michael Penix. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with the quarterback position because if Raheem is gone and so is Zach, so is Kirk, right? And now we're back to square one, right? The post Matt Ryan era. Who's going to be our quarterback? Who's going to be our bridge? Are we going to invest in the draft in a quarterback. I don't think we should, right? I don't think we should because if you want someone to compete against Penix, now we're talking about 2027. Dante Moore hasn't declared for the draft. Now, a lot of people inside Oregon say he's going to commit, which means he's going to be a Raider, he's going to be a Jet, or he's going to be a Brown. Um, but if he doesn't, and he's a 2027 guy, whoa, I like Dante Moore. Things got interesting, so we'll have to see. There are only two constants in this eight-year playoff drought, and that's Blank and McKay. McKay needs to go, bro. We've talked about this. McKay needs to go. The only great option is selling out your future and trading for someone like KOC or something. Well, we kind of already traded our future in James Pierce Jr., who I would say is looking like he's going to be a great player, a cornerstone of that defense alongside his running mate and Jalen Walker, Xavier Watts, Billy Bowman when he comes back healthy. We got some good core pieces. So that is an attraction in itself for an offensive coach. If you bring an offensive minded coach, you could say, hey, bring in your guy, your defensive coordinator, or whatever the case may be. You've got young talent there. Divine Diablo is signed through next year. Caden Ellis is a free agent. You're gonna have to re-sign him. But your young defensive line, Brandon Dorless is still on contract. Zach Harrison is still on contract. Rukor Oro is still under contract. David Onyemata is gone. You're gonna have to re-sign or draft more in the trenches. AJ Terrell is signed. Mike Hughes is signed. Jesse Bates is on his last year. Like, you have your defense already there, so you can, as you can bring in a defensive coordinator, not have to worry. And now you're like, okay, let's fix this offensive scheme. Let's fix this offensive line. Because, guys, if I'm being honest, I think our offensive line needs to be revamped. I do. We need to improve at the center position. We need another tackle, whether it's a left or a right. I don't care if you want to develop a guy once McGarry's gone or done or Jake retires. You need to have a guy in place. And the guys we have now are not it. You need to invest in the draft, in the tackle. All right, what do we got here? Won't lie, man. I'm not sold on any coordinator not named Clint Kubiak or Brian Dable, and that's fair, right? In these hiring circles, when you have first year, like first time head coaches, you're taking a chance. It can prove out to be really, really good. Ben Johnson, Mike McDonald, Dan Campbell took a couple years. Kyle Shanahan took a couple years, but they established their franchises. They built they had the building blocks, and now they have the foundation, and they are consistent at this point. Same thing with KOC. But you could also have some first-time guys that just stink it up. Matt Eberflus is one that really quickly comes to mind. I doubt any head coach would want to come here without the right GM in place. It's why I think the GM hire is the bigger decision. So I found out, I did some digging because a lot of people are like, the GM hires the head coach. And I'm like, no, they don't. But I did some research. So the GM actually leads the head coaching search. That's why, well, hold on. They lead the GM, or the GM leads that head coaching hiring, right? They bring in the guys, they interview them, they list out the candidates, right? They are in charge of doing that, and they have a say. But the ultimate decision comes down to the owner, which was kind of backwards when they hired Arthur Smith first and then Terry Fontenot, right? That you typically hire your GM first. That way, the GM and the head coach have similar visions for the team, so they're going in one direction. That's why when you hired Raheem and then Terry was involved in that, you're like, okay, now they have a common viewpoint of which direction they want to go. So yes, to your point, Bones, if Raheem is gone, I think Terry is gone, and then you're just starting from scratch, right? And you bring in a GM, someone an aspiring GM. I don't think you bring a GM that's been fired or let go. Like, they proved that they weren't ready, but you bring someone in a proven system to continue that pace and bring in good habits from the place that they learned. Well, then, okay, maybe they bring someone in that has the same vision as them, a younger mind. So we in agreement that Raheem is likely gone. I think he is, but right now I'm still 50. I say I'm 50-50, but I'm leaning more towards yes, he is gone. If you don't have a quarterback, though, coaching changes won't win you more than 7 to 8 games. Well, unless your name is Kevin Stefanski, right? He brought in Joe Flacco from the street and got into the playoffs. He did get bounced in the first round, but hey, he won Coach of the Year that year. So it's not impossible, right? You can bring in a bridge quarterback like a Jacoby Brissett or a Mac Jones. depending on what their market commands. Kubiak needs to come to Atlanta. I agree that he does, but he's not going to. I would be shocked if he decided to come to Atlanta. Um, Now, if he's the type of guy that's like, I want the challenge, I want to fix the offense, I want to make this an explosive team, and he has that drive and excitement. Okay, maybe we're talking. Some individuals like that challenge. That hey, it's not just going to be already made for me, and I just got to take it and go. No, I have to build this up. Now that has to be explained. Now, will Arthur Blank go for that, right? Will Arthur Blank be like, I'm okay if you tear down the offense and rebuild it? I don't know, right? That's why we're so hesitant. Is he going to do it? Because he's almost 90. He doesn't want to go through another rebuild. Not that we went through a rebuild, right? Post Dan Quinn, you really didn't go through a rebuild. Incoming Bobby Slowick, Texans OC. Please no. Keep the PFF guys out of this. We don't need any of those. Kubiak will bring his brothers and would have his dad on his side. You couldn't ask for a better coaching staff. Well, I hope so, because the last time we tried to bring in his dad, I think he was on the Vikings, like a Viking senior advisor or something like that, and we got blocked. Like they didn't let him come to Atlanta. So maybe his dad could convince his son, like, hey, it's a good spot. I can only hope so. But to kind of wrap up the Seahawks game, it's what we expected, right? Kirk Cousins he was pressured over 32% of the times, 10 times. He was sacked only once, but he was pressured pretty regularly. He only had 2.5 seconds to throw, EPA of negative 0.57. That's pretty bad in 50% completion, 50% completion percentage. He did have 2 interceptions to his name, but I would say that maybe one was his fault because he tried to fit it in the window and it got deflected up, but that other one wasn't really his fault. Oh, Denver blocked him. Thank you for correcting me. Denver blocked him. Sure, but you need a serviceable quarterback at least. Mariota was a bridge, and we see how that worked out. Yeah, well, Mariota doesn't know how to not throw. Mariota doesn't know how to not throw a hospital ball and quit on a team. So, hey, Big Ed, that would be the funniest thing. Hey, you know what? We kind of made a mistake. Would you like to get the head coaching job back? Which I bet he would, because getting a head coaching opportunity is huge. Watch us hire someone like Matt Nagy or something. Oh my God, I do not want Matt Nagy. Sorry guys if I'm sniffling. Got a little bit of a cold going on here. Trying to get over it. But yeah, I thought the Falcons defense did a good job containing the run. Total this 21 attempts, held the 3 running backs. Yes, we gave up 100 yards, but collectively, I mean, besides Velvis Jones at the end, they weren't really doing anything. No rushing touchdowns. Yeah, that's just I don't know what Zach Robinson has, like he has this like sensation or love for screens. It needs to be studied, is what it needs to be, because it's like some of the worst design. And if it's not the design and the players aren't executing, well, Zach, whose fault is that? Maybe it's the interim wide receiver coach or your pass game coordinator not explaining it. Like nobody blocks on these things. They're not. I miss Drake. I miss Drake London. It's and it's like anytime a screen is called, it's just kind of like you're throwing paint on a wall or throwing something on the wall and hoping it sticks. It's one of the worst things ever. Yes, we need a temporary quarterback next year. Anthony Richardson and Russell Wilson will be available. What makes you think Anthony Richardson is going to be available? He's still on that rookie contract. He's developing, quote unquote. Daniel Jones is going to be a free agent, torn Achilles. He likely is not re-signed with the Colts. Phillip Rivers signed that 1-year deal, which I still can't believe he came out of retirement and decided to reset his Hall of Fame status. And I mean, I think the Colts could be in search of a quarterback. Like you could see someone get aggressive and get up and try and draft one of these top quarterbacks. Let's see. At this point, I don't think we can get any worse than we've got as a coach. Possibly, but you never know, dude. You never know. We said the same thing about Arthur Smith. Did the team just kind of give up in the second half? I think it's partially that, but also they got figured out. I think that's what it is. Zach Robinson should be fired for the lack of third down conversions. That is enough from him. Get him gone. Dude, Miss Lisa, it was crazy for me to hear that when he was with the Rams, that was his job. Was like he was in charge of third downs, converting. What are good third down plays? And could you say some of it is player execution? Yeah. I could say sometimes he does call a good play on third down and the players make mistakes. Players aren't perfect. Neither is he, right? But it's the fact that you're in third and long consistently that's the problem, right? You don't do enough on first and second down to make third down manageable to where you can convert those, right? You're in third and 7 or longer consistently. And that's where the biggest problem is. And that, yes, and again, he should be gone on that alone. We're the worst in the league in third down percentage. I'll take Kenny Pickett. No thanks. Get out of here. Send a day 3 pick for Trey Lance. Guys, that dream is over. Stop it. Anthony Richardson is just generational bust. I wouldn't say that, right? We all said that about Sam Darnold, right? It's like, oh my gosh, this guy was drafted, number 3 overall by the Jets. Talk about seeing ghosts on the field. It just took some nurturing, some learning, some repetition, and now look at him. Earned himself a contract, and he's leading the Seahawks to a trying to compete for the the NFC West right now. Next play caller will tell you our other quarterback will be if it's Kubiak, he's going to want Mac Jones. I agree because he's going to want to run that West Coast offense uh, that Shanahan's running, and it'll be seamless for Mac Jones. So I do think the Falcons do have a better offensive line overall than the 49ers, so it'd be intriguing to see. And then we have our own Christian McCaffrey and Bijan. So I mean, I'm warming up to the idea of a Mac Jones, but he's just got to get paired up with the right guy. Honestly, hiring FedEx Boy again would be hilarious. At least our O line would be okay, right? Former offensive lineman, he prides himself in that. Sometimes it's just that he calls a screen on third and long, and the player doesn't break 4 tackles and say his lack of execution, right? Like that one touchdown that David Sills had against the what was the game prior? Who did we play prior to the Seahawks? Oh man, I'm brain farting, but that which one I'm talking about, where he broke 2 tackles and he got in there. It's like no one blocked down the field. The player did it all himself. It's just crazy. Go with Jameis. Hey, I'd be okay with Jameis. At least you're going to get some turnovers, but at least it'll be entertaining, right? It'll be exciting. Zach Taylor will almost never be fired. I bet you. Zach Taylor will almost never be fired. I bet you he makes like $1 million a year. Are you talking about the Bengals head coach? He might be. Joe Burrow talking about retirement, not a good look for Bengals. I mean, when you've had that many injuries, that isn't a good look, and you paid him all that money. That's even worse, right? I wonder what the insurance policy is for his contract. It'll be crazy. We already got like 5 picks. I don't want to give up more draft capital, get a quarterback when we need that draft capital. Yeah, that's true. I agree. Nothing too impressive about being responsible for third downs. If you're part of an offense that wins on first and second down consistently, bingo! Sean McVay was very good at making third down very manageable. And so I think someone pulled up the numbers. He was, Rams were relatively good on third down during his time there. But when they're in third and short, right, third and 4 or less, you got Matthew Stafford. Like, come on, bro. You got Puka Nacua. You had prime Cooper Kupp on your team. Like, that's not hard to do. And we've got good players. God, man. Yeah, Bengals head coach will probably negative fire cheap-ass owner. Well, yeah, probably. Buddy, take a hot toddy tonight, honey. Oh, hot tea, squeeze lemon. Thank you. I got a honey citrus mint tea from Starbucks that usually helps. But I will try what you were recommending. I appreciate you. Play the Jets before the Seahawks. That's what it was. Thank you. I was brain farting there because you know what? I'm blocking out a lot of negativity. But I'm going to talk about something real positive right now because we can be negative all we want all night. I'm going to talk about James Pierce Jr. And we know it in Atlanta that he was worth that first round pick. It hurts a little bit because it's likely going to be a top 10 pick because of the way the team performed this year and the coaching staff and how poor it was, right? You're like, oh, man, I really wish I had that top top 10 pick, right? Could get another superstar like Bijan Drake. Um, but if you draft well, like the Falcons did this past year, you can find stars in every round. And James Pierce, having those 5 sacks, a sack in 5 of the last games, which I think total it to 5 sacks. He's the first rookie to do it since Micah Parsons did it in 2021. That's pretty good company to be in, right? He started off slow and now he's kind of figuring it out in the NFL. He's putting it all together. And not just that, he's effective in the run game. And the dude is just a dog. Like, he does not give up. So, just get ready, guys, because the media is going to push the narrative. Oh, the Falcons were idiots. They shouldn't have traded it. They're in the top 10 pick. They gave this Rams team a top 10 pick. Hey, you know what? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think James Pierce Jr. is going to be a cornerstone for whoever the new head coach is. Same thing with Jalen Walker, Xavier Watts, and again, Billy Bowman once he um, gets healthy and he returns. Let's see, what do we got here? I seen a video a few days ago about the Eagles offense, and it made me realize that Zach and Patullo share some of the same similarities as coordinators. Yeah, yeah, Kevin Patullo is not very good. I thought it would be seamless because he was the pass game coordinator for the Eagles for like the past 4 years or something like that. And I was like, okay, like he knows the personnel, he knows like all these things, same run game coordinator, same old line coach, like all of it. And it's just like, it's bad. Who's the OC for the Colts? Jim Bob Cooter. I'm pretty sure it is. No, thank you. Has a total of 6 right now with playing minimal downs. Yeah, so his snap count has gotten an uptick, right? He got a half sack or a sack against the Vikings, and it's just gotten progressively better. I love the dude. He's one of my wife's favorite players. Hello, Mrs. Brotalk, if you're watching. JPJ, as she calls him, is one of her favorite players. We're contemplating getting her a number 27 jersey because she just loves the tenacity that he plays with and the aggression. And she got to see him live when we were in Atlanta get a sack on Bryce Young. So that was really exciting. He hit the little 6-7 while he celebrated. So that was fun. It was on our side of the end zone, too. So really excited for James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker, right? Jalen Walker, I was so wrong about you. I apologize. I thought uh, you were not going to be the player that you are, and I'm so happy that I was proven wrong. I'm worried our D line takes a step back if you put in a different scheme up front next year. New coordinator's fine, but the scheme is worrisome. It's all about the attacking front, right? Are you going to have an attack? If they have an attacking front, which this defensive line is built for, you're fine. But if they want the read and react type of front, I mean, these guys are smaller than they need to be, right? Jesse Minter is going to want to read and react. He's going to want to play that gap and a half, 2-gap scheme for their defensive linemen. You're going to have to get guys like Tier Tart, Huna Ford, them big boys that can hold weight and not get pushed around. Byron Murphy, right? He does a really good job of taking on double teams and not getting moved around. So it's going to have to. I mean, you could do that, right? Zach Harrison's a big guy, like he's strong like an ox, and it's hard for players to move him on his own. It's a matter of working that technical side of not allowing yourself to get washed or driven back 3 or 4 yards. It's all who teaches the execution. And I think I mentioned this in a tweet earlier is you can get rid of the entire regime. I don't care. Just keep Nate Ollie. The guy is an up and coming young uh, position coach, and he's going to get an opportunity as defensive coordinator. What better place to bring him up than in the Falcons franchise, right? Given the opportunity, but you just never know with a new coaching regime, right? We were all waiting for Ryan Nielsen to stay with Raheem, and I don't know what their history looks like and why maybe he didn't retain him. But once Nielsen got the opportunity to interview with a different team, I don't blame him for doing so and taking the job in Jacksonville because you just never know if you're going to be, you never know if you're going to have a job or not. I think I have a delivery. What you got, guys? Oh, I got something to open up. Merry Christmas. Let's open this up. All right. All right, guys. We're opening this live. What did my wife and kiddo bring me? All right. Let's see. Hold on. All right. Hold on, guys. Pause. Just never know with my wife. She always surprises me. Okay, we've got a box. All right, hold on. Ooh, what's in the box? Uh, Styrofoam. Okay. All right, hold on. Aha! Is this an ornament for my tree? It is. I'll show you first, sweetheart. Look, I got me a nice little ornament to put on the tree, guys. Little Falcons, Volkswagen, got the Falcon wreath on the front, and you got a little Christmas tree. Love it. Love it, love it. I'm a lucky man, just so y'all know. My wife loves to do these kind of things and surprise me all the time. Never stops surprising me. Um, so thank you, Mrs. Brotalk. We are going to hang this up right now. This is a live stream with 492 of you watching me. Where should I put this thing? Let's see. Ooh. Opening this up. Oh no. There we go. Hello. Any suggestions, guys? Where do you see the tree? Front and center? Love it. I got you, bro. Let me trying to get this thing out, man. They did a really good job with the packaging. All right, here we go. Hold on. Okay. I gotta put the Falcons. Let's see. Does that cover my hammer? I don't think so. How we looking? Looks pretty good, huh? Hell yeah. That's what I like to see. Added a piece to the Christmas tree. Love it, guys. If you didn't know already, my wife loves Christmas and everything about it. It's her favorite holiday of the year. But back to business. Miss Lisa, what do you got right here? Has Raheem lost the locker room? When I saw current players liking Ray Ray's post, it made me wonder. An ant. No, I have not. You have joined at the right time. So thank you, Miss Lisa, for segueing me to this. So Ray, if you guys didn't know, Ray put a post out. I'm gonna pull it up and I'm gonna read this. Let's see. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna pull up the actual. Oh, I'm gonna put up the actual quote. Hold on, so I can read it. All right, so this is the quote from Ray. Okay, so he goes on to say, these past few months have been one of the toughest battles emotionally and mentally I've dealt with in a long time, from taking the high road and letting stuff slide. But after isolating my mind, body, and spirit, I've learned understand that during moments of growth, God will test you. Um, and he continues to say that, talking about, his growth and development mentally and all that. And at the very end, he says, I have an understanding that everyone is going to have their own answers and opinions without knowing anything, but God has control of everything. God always sheds light to the truth because it was never performance based. Quotations. So obviously we know what he's talking about, right? He's talking about how Raheem said the firing for Ike Hilliard was performance based. Um, and it just created a lot of drama, because then you had AJ Terrell comment on it and have the shaking hand and flexing. Now, this could be reading way too deep into it, but some would say, like, he's agreeing with Ray, right? He's agreeing to Ray, or someone's just saying, hey, good for you for finding what you needed to be able to better yourself. There's so many different things that could be it, and you won't know, right? But then you start looking at who liked it. Drake London liked it. Michael Penix liked it. So many other players liked it, and we got insight when Ike Hilliard was fired that Drake London took it hard. Like, it was real emotional for him, because as far as we know, they had a great relationship. So then you have that going on, right? And I'm like, hey, just someone get this man an interview and like let's just shed light on this, right? And he might be waiting until after the season, right? He may say, "I'm not going to do this to my teammates just yet," even though he's posting cryptic posts. "I'm not going to do this just yet. I'm going to wait till after the season." So, okay, so Jesse Bates liked it too. So then you have that all going on, right? And of course, the Falcons media, found it, is running with it. Then you have Miss Carey who posted this, right? Chris Blair posts Kadero Hodges' game-winning touchdown on Thursday Night Football from last year, and he comments, "We ain't forgot twin," and he tags him, right? Kadero reposts it, and he said, somebody did. Who is he talking about? We all think he's talking about Raheem because he was benched against the New York Jets. And it's like it was the most head scratching thing when you saw his name come up on the inactives list. So to answer your question, Miss Lisa, does it feel like Raheem is losing the locker room? It does. Because the players may have bought into the message that Raheem had when he first got into the building and they were 6-3. But when losing does things, right? Making questionable moves starts getting people to talk, getting people to look side eye, right? These players had relationships with Ray Ray. You don't think they went out there and talked to him and said, "Bro, what happened?" And you don't think Ray Ray spoke his truth? Now, he may have embellished some, he may have not. We don't know because these conversations are private, right? It's getting ugly, right? And then to Bones's point, right? Ray Ray made this post. Reporters are going to ask them about it, and I fully anticipate them deflecting. Like, I don't have a comment on it. I don't have a comment on it. And I hope someone from Atlanta media says, "Well, we saw that you liked the post. What are you liking about it?" And so it's going to get ugly these last 4 weeks. And so Black Monday can't get here soon enough. And I just really, 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 really hope that we see the Raheem Morris firing. And for those of the people that are like, "Well, you were happy about the Raheem Morris hire." I wasn't happy per se. He wasn't the guy I thought we were going to hire. I really wanted Ben Johnson. He was my number one guy. Um, but again, I was giving benefit of the doubt. Okay, this is who we chose as the head coach. Let's run with it. Let's see how he builds his staff, what the roster looks like, et cetera, et cetera. Until, hey, you prove that you're not ready for this and it's time to go back to a coordinator position. As long as Rich McKay is in the building, this team will continue to head in the wrong direction. I agree. I agree. So when we start looking at the Rams organization, it's like, oh, maybe Chris Shula. Let's bring Chris Shula, right? He comes from, his grandpa was that undefeated Miami Dolphins team in '72. But then you look at the GMs and Rich McKay's son, John McKay, is on that Rams organization. It's like, man, we got to escape the McKay family, man. Kirk basically cost him the season last year, rubbed players the wrong way. Drake did not forget about that. You think so? I don't know about all that, man. I don't know. Maybe that's why Drake is not playing. I don't think so. Drake, any type of football player will tell you they're a competitor, right? A PCL injury. If you wanted, if you wanted an example, look at what Ricky Pearsall went through. He had a PCL injury and he was out almost 6 weeks. So when Raheem was like, "Oh, it's week to week," no, not really. I mean, he may not play another down this season. He may play the last 2 games. Who knows? All I know is I needed him for my fantasy team this week. I'm in the playoffs and I play my wife in week 1 in the first round. That's all right though. Drake, get healthy, man. We want you back. We love you, man. You're an awesome receiver. We hope you come back stronger. Well, I mean, I guess tomorrow will be a win. I guess maybe 100%. McKay needs to go. Yes, he lost the locker room when he fired Ike. I probably got into it with Z-Rob's ass, and Rod didn't like it. There's no telling, right? What happened? There's always that speculation, right? We won't know until we get reports, right? Get reports like the Michigan head coach firing. That's a messy situation. I'm not saying it's this messy, but we won't know until light is shed on it. How much input do you think Blank's son will have on the next hires? Well, it all depends on how long it's going to be before he takes the keys, right? We talked about it's going to be soon. A lot of people are speculating. It may have been you, Bones, that made the comment that after this World Cup that comes through in 2026, that may be when he's ready to say, "All right, son, you're ready to take the ship. I'm going to take a back seat." Because he's not egotistical like Jerry Jones. That's like, I'm going to remain in power until I die, much like Al Davis, right? I think his son is, being a younger man, um, being more level-headed, probably being really aware of what the media and the fan like the temperature of the fans. I think he'll have more input if this next head coach is going to be like that long-term solution. It's like, Dad, if I'm going to be the owner, I need to have some sort of say. I think he's already in the rooms. Um, I think he's already in the room there in the interview process, but I don't know how much input he has. I commented about justice for Ray Ray, how Hodge was the next scapegoat when Hodge was benched and Ray Ray and his mom, brother liked my post. Oh, that was you. That was you. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. For a guy that was such a player's coach, he seems to really not like his players. It's kind of gotten to the point where I think he does love his players. He wants to build relationships. I think he's still a player's coach, but he knows his job's on the line, and so he's more cutthroat, right? He's taking the personality out of it because he's fighting for his job at this point, and so I can't blame him at that sense. But it's like, hey, if you actually did your job and you got the right coaches and you held people accountable at the same level, you wouldn't be in this position, right? So that's his own doing. I need his son to take a more active role, and I'm hoping he does because we may get that breath of fresh air. It may be the time that he's the one that says, "Rich, thank you for your time with Atlanta, but you are no longer needed." Right? Hasn't Raheem always had an ego problem? He had an ego in Tampa, and he's admitted to that. Like he's on record saying, "I thought I could do it all." And what 32-year-old doesn't think they can, right? Especially when you're thrust. He was not ready to be a head coach. That was a organizational terrible decision. Thinking that a 32-year-old coach back then was ready. I'm not saying a 32-year-old in the near future is going to be ready, right? Head coaches keep getting younger and younger and younger. Um, because of their teachings and the way they're able to connect with the players and things like that. But I think the ego isn't as much, and I think people read into it because they look back at his past. Let's see what you got. Definitely seen Josh a lot during the draft. Yes, this was the first year I saw him a lot in the draft room, which was really encouraging because if he had a say with what the scouts were talking about, that's really awesome. Because if he said, "Hey, let's draft Jalen," or "Hey, we can make this James Pierce Jr. thing happen," that would be awesome to see. Also, Raheem hasn't been Shice without Aaron Donald and prime Jalen Ramsey. A coach is the coach, right? Having those prime players, yes, I agree, makes someone's job a lot easier. I do agree there, but hey, he was a part of that team, right? His defense wasn't even a top 10 unit, but they got the job done, and it was because of playmaker. But at the same time, like it was his. Like, you can't take away from Raheem what he did with Jalen because Jalen was a primary outside corner, right? He let him play that star position, that apex position in the nickel, which allowed Ramsey to roam more like a robber safety per se. So that was his influence there. And you've then seen other teams do it, like the Ravens with Marlon Humphrey, something we've wanted AJ Terrell to do, kind of roam around, but he likes to play clamps on guys. Didn't you say you wanted the Browns head coach if he gets fired? Does his antics with Shadur not being his guy concern you regarding our roster? So I do want Kevin Stefanski if he is fired, because what he's able to do with a poor roster construction like he's had in Cleveland. I think the antics are being blown out of proportion. I think Stefanski called the play that he thought would win or tie the game, one of the two, right? I can't remember what the score was. I think he did that as a coach. Wait, hold on, hold on. I don't think Stefanski's calling the play, so that was on his offensive coordinator. But he did say it was his decision, so I don't know. But going back into it, they talked about the play. Hey, it was run multiple times. The player made a mistake, so I'm not reading too much in it. For him to say Shador's the seeing, I would read into it if the way Shador has progressed and improved, and then he says we're gonna go back with Dylan Gabriel. that's when I'd be like, okay, this guy doesn't like Shador. There's some politics going on. So I'm not reading too much into it right now. Rich McKay, he's one that gave Rod a chance. It's time to clean house. Was he the Buccaneers a GM back then? Oh my gosh, it came full circle, and us as Falcons fans are suffering because of it. He has a prime Bijan and Drake, but here we are. Yeah, yeah. So here we are, in fact, and for all 631 of you being here, thank you so much. Um, we could go on and on about what's going on with the Falcons, right? There's a lot of drama. We are tired as a fan base. We are preparing ourselves for the draft. I know the jokes are, oh well, what with what picks? Hey, you know what? You still got to do the work. You still got to go out there and scout the players and get the best possible players with the positions that you have in the selections that you have. But we need to talk about the Buccaneers on Thursday, right? It doesn't mean anything for us, but it means a lot for them, right? They're 7-6. They came off a ugly loss against the New Orleans Saints at home. They got beat at home in a ugly rainy game, and they're looking to bounce back, right? They're getting healthier. Tristan Wirfs is coming back. He didn't play last game. Mike Evans is coming back. I think Jalen McMillan's also coming back. Ibuka is looking to bounce back. Like they they are looking to rebound, right? And we are in the dumps. The only thing the players I think would do to do enough to beat them is the fact that we can play spoiler for them because they need to beat us to stay in first place. Now, I do think Carolina does lose to New Orleans because New Orleans gotten a little traction, a little bit of building blocks, a little bit of momentum, and that momentum that Carolina had beating LA is gone because they had to go into the bye week and not play. Um, so I do think there is a chance for the Falcons to win. Is there any chance that we win tomorrow? I know losing makes a lot of sense, clean house, but damn, I want pain to stop. I just want one win because we find a way. So I'll be honest with you. I do think we upset the Buccaneers. I think it's close. I think it's a high scoring game. It's exciting, like last Thursday night's game, right? We play well in the red helmets. Kirk Cousins plays well against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for whatever reason, right? Um, he plays well in prime time now. He kind of got away from that losing record in prime time. Todd Bowles, as a head coach, has a losing record in prime time games. So I do think this is the Buccaneers are on the slide, and even though we are as well, this is a division game on Thursday night. These games are always weird. Um, I do think Atlanta does win this Thursday tomorrow. I do. I really think the word for the fan base is apathy now. Hey, you're using big words now. What does that mean? What does that mean? Because I don't know. I know these players might be mentally down, but they better realize other teams are watching if they go somewhere else. Yeah, so they're auditioning for other teams. So I agree there, right? Caden Ellis, he's a prideful guy. He's on his last year of his deal. So if he doesn't re-sign with Atlanta, someone's going to want someone like him. Same thing. Leonard Floyd's on his last year of his deal. David Onyemata's on the last year of his deal. Who else? Shoot, Tyler Algier, last year of his deal if he doesn't re-sign. So you just never know with these Thursday night games, man. Los Angeles Rams will curb stomp us. I don't disagree with you. And then whoop our behinds till red for their seating and our pick. So I really see this as the last winnable game on the schedule. It's probably the best aside for Los Angeles Rams. So I do think we win 2 more games. I think we finish with a final record of 6-12. Because I do think we beat New Orleans again, right? We beat them on the road. We beat them at home. We beat Tampa. We lose to Arizona, and then we lose to Los Angeles, right? I think Los Angeles is just going to stomp us like Seattle did. I don't think it's a competition. They obviously want to win to better their position, like you mentioned, and they're fighting for the number 1 seed, so they have to win. McKay was not the GM in Tampa when Raw became their head coach. McKay was already with the Falcons by then. Oh, okay. Thank you. Took out a second mortgage to take the over. What's the line? I don't even know. Like, what's the line? Epichetti on this last year? Yes, that's another guy, right? We all thought he was going to be traded. He was sending some cryptic tweets Also, everyone's favorite player from Montana State, Troy Anderson, is on the last year of his deal. That's someone I think should be brought back on like a 1 year deal. Hey, you've been hurt. Take this cheap deal, prove yourself, and then you can hit the market and see what's up. So, um, but again, I do think that we win 2 more games. We finish 6-12. That may push us just outside the top 10, if not right at 10. Um, Here we go. I'm learning something tonight. Apathy is lack of interest or enthusiasm or concern. Yeah, I could say I'm there. I have a lack of not interest because I'm always interested in this team, but I do have a lack of enthusiasm. I'm not concerned with the result anymore this season. I'm more so concerned: is there improvement? What do the players look like? Is Raheem um, still the head coach and things like that? 210.5? Yeah, take the over, brother. Take the over. I saw a cap breakdown saying cut Kirk, let Pitts, DA, and Floyd to walk to save 70 million. Thoughts? Also, would any free agents want to even come here with the culture? Well, if you bring in a new head coach, it's enticing, right? You bring in some of the players that played for him. Cap space wise, I haven't done a deep dive, so I can't confirm nor deny. Right? We talked about it earlier. If Raheem is gone and so is Zach, which Zach would be gone, I do think Kirk is cut for the sake of saving cap space. We would take a bigger dead cap hit this coming season, and then it opens up even more in the 4th year of his contract. Um, but there's no telling, right? The cap can be manipulated, right? Is Darnell Mooney going to be on this team? He hasn't played like he's earned that 3rd year. Um, Wide receiver room needs an overhaul. Do we re-sign Tyler Algier? Is he willing to re-sign in Atlanta? Which I do think he loves Bijan. He loves the teammates that he has, but money talks, right? If someone offers him a giant contract, he was linked to possible trades at the trade deadline. I know Uncle Louie, Tyler's uncle, says he loves Atlanta and doesn't want to leave. But ultimately, it's a business, right? And he's got to think about himself and what's best for him and his family. And if taking a deal with another team, that's just what you got to do. And that's the nature of the beast, right? Our Michael Turner leaving for another team that needs a running back, which, I truly think he ends up in like Dallas. Whoo! Tyler with Dak and Javante. Whoo, baby, man. That's a good duo right there, man. But guys, I am approaching at the hour mark right here, guys. 667 of you guys. It's amazing, man. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Reporting Eligible. I know it's not in the positive light that we wanted the Falcons to be. I know it's not where we expected it, where we were coming down to the wire and saying, "Hey, we need to beat Tampa, and then we need to beat Arizona. If we don't beat LA, that's okay because we're still going to get a wild card spot." That's what we were expecting, right? I'll tell you what I said at the beginning of the year. The ceiling for me for Atlanta was 12-5. Realistically, I thought they would finish at 10-7, and the floor that I thought they would get was 8-9, and they are below my floor. They have nowhere near met the expectations of what was expected from this team in 2025. 2026, man, it all starts on Black Monday. Is Raheem gone or not? Because if he is gone, then Terry's gone, and now you can start fresh and start doing your research on who you would want as your new GM. But guys, as always, yeah, Baltimore would be a good spot for Tyler. I'll answer a couple more questions. So, who will be our quarterback at the start of the season? I can't say, to be honest with you, because it all depends on the head coach. If Raheem is here, it's going to be Kirk. It just is. If it's someone else, they're going to go find the guy that fits their offense the best. And it might be Kirk. Who knows? Is it hyperbolic to say Man, might be butchering this. To say this is the worst season in franchise history, at least very least top 3. I wouldn't say it's the worst in team history, but I would say it's worse in the fact that of the level of expectations, right? We knew certain seasons were going to be bad for Atlanta. We knew that they were going to be a bad team, and it's like, okay, like if we win 4 games, great. Like we do not have expectations. We know this is a rebuild. Like we are a bad team, but this year it was probably the worst letdown year. So in that sense. All right, last thing. I really don't think Rod gets cut this season. I see them giving him one more go at it. And I'm prepared to do that. Are you? Are you guys prepared for one more year, Raheem? I tweeted it out earlier. Get ready because it is a strong possibility. But guys, if you enjoy the content, as always, at Dirty Bird Central, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and TikTok, any short form content that you enjoy, I do try and post daily. Life's been busy for me this football season, so it hasn't been as consistent as it has in prior years. That's why the long form content isn't there. But I'm hoping once the off season hits, I'll be able to get back on it. So bear with me, guys. Um, Twitter at BK squared 7 still haven't changed the name. Daily tweets again, busy. Haven't been able to tweet as much, but I do try and keep up as the days go along. If you like to do picks, I do weekly picks. I do weekly power rankings there. So check me out there. I'm also interacting there on a daily basis with you guys the best I can. And then for those of you wondering where Berto is, he is dealing with something personally. He will be gone for the time being. And when he is ready to return, he will make his return. No doubt about it. But if you enjoy his content at 95 North Sports Machine, Bleacher Report for him, for Atlanta Creator, and then at normally he is your NFC South Roundtable Atlanta Creator, but I am filling in for him there as well. So if you enjoy me, you enjoy me yapping about the Falcons, you can enjoy me yapping about the Falcons against the NFC South creators as well. Until then, guys, enjoy your Wednesday evening. It's always rise up. It's hard, but go Falcons. We are going to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Until next time, guys. Peace.